This plane was built by a guy named Jim Gleason, who's a master builder from Rhode Island. He's built many airplanes. This one's unique in that it has fiberglass. The wings are sheeted foam, and so is the horizontal stab. But everything else is fiberglass. So this guy carved original parts. He made plugs, made them to scale, to specification, to shape, and then he made fiberglass molds, and then he laid these up and took them out of the molds. He built two sets. One he gave to a friend of his in Florida, and he flew this one around for a year or two, and then he pretty much lost interest in the hobby, and I bought it from him for a couple $1,000.
Wow, that's a labor of love.
It's a complex airplane. And I'm having difficulty syncing the engines up. If they come out of sync real bad, it'll always crash.
Yeah.
And I just switched from a 72 megahertz radio to a 2.4, and I think I'm running into some programming difficulties. And so I just got to spend some more time in the garage with my mixes, because this plane has mixes. If I do the rudder, if I do a left turn on rudder, it does right aileron to keep the plane from rolling over.
Mm-hmm.
When I put the gear down, it does up elevator because it likes to pitch down because of the drag. There's a lot of things going on with this airplane. The radio that was in it is different than this. So I just got to play with it and get everything right because, oh, it's also got Fowler flaps. Watch this. Go.
How cool to do that again. Oh man.
And this radio has the ability to time them. See how slow they retract? I put them to do it in a second. I could have them do it in 16 seconds. You know?
Unbelievable.
And those are Fowler flaps. Those not only do they go down as they extend out, and that's a remarkable piece of work that he did.
How long did it take him to build this?
I have no idea. I don't know.
I mean, actually make the molds and all that.
Yeah,
Must have been
I mean, he made a mold. He carved a part that looks like this out of probably styrofoam with Bondo, and then he made a mold, and then he laid up fiberglass sheet, you know, cloth in this mold, impregnated it with probably epoxy rather than polyester fiberglass. And there's a left half and a right half. You can see the seam. And it's the same thing with this. There's a left half and a right half. But this boom is the same as this boom. So all you have to do is make one boom, and you've got both. But the pod is another part. This is another part. The radiators, that's one part. All four are the same. And the vertical stabilizer, I'm not certain. Maybe the vertical stabilizer is part of the boom mold, but I don't really know.
Oh my God, that's a beautiful plane.
Yeah, and the wing comes apart here. It separates.
Now, how do you get? If you'd have to fabricate parts if you did have an accident, right? I mean,
I don't have the ability to duplicate it. I don't think. I can do some of this stuff, but not to the level that he's at. You know.
Yeah. Oh, it's a.
I mean, it's got air retracts. Well, I don't have any air in it, but that's a fill valve for an air cylinder, for an air tank, and then there's a little servo that operates a little valve, and the gear goes up inside. When it flies and it's working right, it is just a wonderful thing.
When was
to
the last
behold.
time you had it out?
2 years ago.
Oh, so
I was away, so I had nose gear problems. It kept breaking the nose gear.
Mm-hmm.
So between traveling and just not getting around to it, I didn't fly it for the longest time. But I want to take it down to South Carolina with me and fly it. But you know, you can't take it out in public unless it's
absolutely
perfect.
They're doing it just right.
And that's why I'm going through this. The engines idle the same and they rev up the same, but in the mid-range they're two completely different RPMs, and you can't fly like that.
Now, how do you just rev it up on the ground and you can tell? I mean, you don't want.
Well, I've got a tachometer.
Oh,
That's a electronic tach,
Uh-huh.
and and what you're supposed to do is sync them so the engines are always running the same RPM, because you can't have differential thrust. You can't have one engine pull more than another. It'll tend to pull the plane into a turn, and then you'll give it rudder to compensate for it, and then you're flying crabbed in the air, and then next thing you know you'll snap and crash.
Yeah. No, it's a beautiful aircraft. Yeah.
Wife. And this is just some of his victories. He shot down 37 airplanes, but he was like a real prize. They took him out of service and brought him home and used him like to rally the troops and stuff. And then Lockheed hired him at the end of the war, and unfortunately he was killed in a accident.
I think I read about
with a brand new like a P38,
yeah.
Which was like the first operational jet.
I read about that.
He died.
Yeah.
And he was a little guy, but real. Yeah. Okay.
Somebody's got to be the ramrod here. You can tell I'm the boss.
These engines started right up.
I saw the surprise in your eye when it almost took your finger off. Yeah, like that. Where's your glove at least, Bernie? You got that star right there. Why don't you take a chance? Try it, that one doesn't stay running.
There's something wrong with the tune on this.
Yeah. Well, did you screw around with the radio enough or haven't you got a mix in there right now?
How do you mean? You have to adjust anymore, do you? Let me. I'm going to rev it up.
Yeah, okay.
This is getting oil. It's getting oil all over you, by the way.
Yeah. Good smelling oil.
It is. Never mind. There it goes again.